Hello everyone, welcome back to another banner reaction. I'm DTM as always, and we have with us the Mythic banner for this month, and we did see in the FEH channel that we are expecting Nerthuz, who is the Book 7 OC and is going to be a light Mythic. Now we do know a bit about Nerthuz, but not the exact details of her weapon and her perf skill, so that'll be super exciting to see. And I don't know if they're going to spring any additional surprises on us or not, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, let us begin. As always, if you like the content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe. It truly does help out this channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the constant support. And yeah, let us begin with the reaction and analysis, of course. So yes, I'm going to assume this is Nerthuz. Okay, very good. The god of the land.
Creatures that live upon the land are precious to me, and that includes you and your kind.
So yeah, Beast Cavalry. Yes. This is very similar to what they showed in the FEH channel. Okay, we have Horn of Land, Fruit of Life, and Alarm Attack Speed. All of those will be very super interesting to see. But yeah, as we can see, she looks to be designed for Galeforce, which is really nice. Has some sort of special acceleration, looks like, as well.
For all life on land.
And yeah, inflicted the gravity there, and gets the extra action with the Galeforce. Very cool. Nerthuz actually looks so sick.
Your dinner.
Okay, and if I remember from the FEH channel, Nerthuz should have some sort of vengeance effect. Yeah, she did extra damage because she took damage. And yeah, the gravity effect again, and we have the Canto from Alarm. Very nice. Okay, I guess that's it. We have a single Mythic. No double Mythic banner this time around, I guess. That's interesting. I thought that was what they're going to be doing, but I guess that was a one-time thing for them to test the waters, I guess. I will say, this is a pretty stacked banner, if I do say so myself. Obviously, blue is very stacked, but, okay, actually, maybe it isn't as stacked as I thought it would be. Again, we'll take a look at all of that later. And yes, of course, we do have the FEH Spark as usual. And yeah, I guess no surprises, act shock. Yeah, I was very curious to see if they were going to continue doing double mythics, but I guess not. But that's cool. Yeah, Nerthuz will be very interesting. Obviously, the big elephant in the room is that as a light mythic, she faces a lot of competition because our light mythics are actually super stacked. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at these skills, starting with Horn of the Land. Accelerate special trigger at start of combat if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats plus X during combat, X being the unit's max special cooldown count value times 2 plus 5. Grants special cooldown charge plus 1 per attack, and neutralizes effects that guarantee foe follow-up attack and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks. And then I believe the rest is just the beast transformation effects. Yes, okay. So yeah, from this weapon, we have all stats plus X, where X is that math equation. If you're going to be running her with Galeforce, that basically gives her plus 13 to all of her stats, which is actually kind of insane just in her weapon. Plus 13 on a modern unit is very, very strong. And also she has full NFU, which obviously helps with her offenses and defenses. And because she obviously is going to be very speedy, just looking at this kit, most likely you'll only get hit once by the opponent, unless they have a brave weapon or something. And that really synergizes well with the damage reduction thing that she has, which is really nice. And also helps make sure that she is able to double to get those Galeforce procs, which will be very important. Okay. But yeah, overall, I guess this is an okay weapon. We did see this in like I believe the story chapters where we faced against her. Obviously, like full NFU and special acceleration, I think will be very important for Galeforce, along with like the plus 13 to all stats. Obviously, as a Beast Cavalry, she gets the impact effect as well, so it's even more unlikely that the opponent can double you in retaliation, which is, again, is really nice. And yeah, coming with attack speed clash 4, obviously, just boosting that attack and speed even more. Okay, this is the key here. What does Fruit of Life do? Okay, at the start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, inflicts speed defense -5 on foe during combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40% during combat, and unit's next attack deals damage equals total damage reduced, that's mentioned, by any source, including other skills, resets at the end of combat. Okay, and also, if number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 1, neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat, and inflicts gravity on target and foes adjacent to target after combat. Whoa, okay. Okay, that is actually really, really good. Not only does she have special acceleration built in, but she also has tempo. So as long as she doubles, she's just going to get Galeforce, guaranteed, unless you have like a defensive tempo effect, which is actually insane. Yeah, move aside Freya, like this is how you actually make a Galeforce unit. Now, obviously, like Freya was more like supposed to be a tank, but obviously cav tanks aren't really a thing. Here, Nerthuz is definitely a lot more offensive focused, which is really good because that's what you need to succeed as a cavalry unit. Okay, and then we have Alarm attack speed. At start of turn, if number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 2, grants attack speed +6 and Canto 1 to unit for 1 turn. If number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 1, grants attack speed +3 to unit during combat. Okay, so this is like, it's like Oath, except more like a. It's not as strict as Rouse, because obviously you could still be like adjacent to your allies. You don't have to be solo. So, and I'm not gonna lie, like having less than or equal to 2 units adjacent to you is very easy. Like at the start of let's say Ether Race match, you're only ever going to be adjacent to 2 units. And you really need to work a lot to get your units adjacent to 3 units, like a sort of T formation or something. So this is actually a very lenient condition. And of course, like instead of the orders effect, you get Canto 1, which obviously as a Galeforce unit is very strong. It helps reposition for better like positioning to get your Wings and Mercy units into the correct places. Helps with like proc and Galeforce. If say like you just one shot, you can Canto back 1 to be in a position that's closer to your dancer to get dance, and then proc another Galeforce, proc another combat to activate Galeforce. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting. You know, I actually really like this unit. This unit... Now, obviously, Nerthuz is a combat mythic. And so, like... combat mythics, generally, you know, they don't benefit with stat buffs that comes from mythic blessings and all that sort of jazz. But that is less of a problem for more, like, player phase focused units or mythics, because... for most instances, player phase units generally only care about attack and speed. So that's less stats that you need to like worry about from being like stat crept. And also like just stacking attack and speed is a lot easier than trying to be like full on defense, because in defense, like oriented things like tanking and whatnot, like every stat matters. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting unit. Definitely going to be a very fun Galeforce unit for sure. I haven't mentioned this, but that B skill also definitely helps her in sort of getting into like wom range, but it's not like Selev's miracle effect where it just prevents you from dying. Like, depending on how much the enemy retaliates, that damage reduction could actually like prevent you from getting into wom range. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more involved calcs if you're going to be using her. Although I think you can run like double fury and still work. Yeah, and it's interesting because as a mythic unit, you don't get mythic HP buffs, and so that actually is super helpful in making sure you are consistent in getting your like unit into wom range, assuming you use like double fury or something. Because one of the most annoying things is like trying to make sure the HP thresholds don't exceed the amounts that double fury would allow you to get into. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, what is this banner? So on blue, we do have Nerthuz, Julia, and Shez. Now, obviously, Shez, very strong unit, especially in something like Summoner's Duels. Just effective against everything, and all of that jazz is very, very strong. And I believe Shez is a wind legendary, right? No, Shez is a fire. Okay, yeah. And so, yeah, Shez, obviously very strong unit. Julia, not as strong, but I do think it's actually pretty underrated. I don't think it's stronger than... I don't think she's like the strongest Earth legendary by any means, but she definitely packs a punch. And I'm surprised I haven't seen more of her, to be perfectly honest. She's definitely a very powerful nuke and can get through a lot of things, especially the dragon save units that we've been having a plethora of these days. And obviously, Nerthuz is the latest and greatest mythic, which is going to be very nice. Now, what other units do we have on the other colors? We have red with Plumeria, Mirabilis, and Ascended Tiki. Now, Plumeria, obviously, very, very, very strong. Arguably the best Astro Mythic we have in the game, just by virtue of being like a Mythic Dancer. On that same vein, I do consider Mirabilis the best Anima Mythic in the game. Although, obviously, as a defensive Mythic, you don't really gain value from merges, so that is sort of less valuable to like get more and more copies of Mirabilis from. And Ascended Tiki, I do believe, is like a super strong unit, especially in something like Summoner's Duels. She's a very powerful frontline, very speedy, you can make her work tanking against things like Brave Selevs and stuff like that. But obviously, like, it's not guaranteed progression by getting more and more copies of Tiki, even though it does really help her out as a frontline tank or just a omni tank in general. So overall, I'd say like in red, Plumeria is the only one that has value in merges. Green, we have Kanglot. Yeah, I mean, I guess Arcane Axe is nice, and she is infantry melee, which is actually very cool for like inheritance options, but yeah, not exactly the greatest rearmed unit, if I do say so myself. Legendary Male Byleth, still very strong. Obviously, Sublime Heaven is super powerful, especially since we don't have a mage special yet, and still holds his own as a water legendary. And then we have Triandra. Not as valuable as Mirabilis in Dark Season since we do have Milla, but honestly, I haven't been seeing a lot of Millas these days, especially with the plethora of powerful light mythics. So honestly, having Plumeria here, not Plumeria, having Triandra is actually, I think, sort of aged pretty well, especially compared to when she first debuted, where she just kept getting like baited and isolated and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, even that being said, obviously, like, you don't really gain value from merging Triandra, so from here in green, only legendary male Byleth really has value from merges. Ganglot, maybe, if you have like all your infantry melee skills on Ganglot and just want to like continue inheriting all of that. So if you have that set up, that is an option. But otherwise, yeah, not exactly the greatest. And then in colorless, we have legendary Claude, which is still a very powerful Earth legendary. I still think he is very strong. Gravity is still very useful. It is so unfortunate. What is it? Falling Star or something? Like, doesn't work in Summoner's duels, but, you know, in Arena at the very least, especially being a flyer, especially now with like Guidance 4 and all of that, like, he puts in a lot of work in Arena. Ashe, another light mythic, her warping effect is super powerful, enables some insane plays, and offers so much flexibility, so that's really good. And then Arvel, I would say, is probably the second best anima mythic. Obviously, you don't really gain value from merges as a defense mythic, but still, Arvel, if you don't have Arvel, now is the time to get them. So honestly, I'd say colorless is probably the second best color here, followed probably by red and then green. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. So yeah, obviously here, blue is the color to go. It's just above and beyond the best. And then after that, colorless, red, and then green. But yeah, overall, very interesting banner. But how does Nerthuz rank up against the other light mythics? Like, how good is she really? Well, we have right now the current light mythics right here. I'd say by far the best light mythic is Peony. Like, Peony offering the orders buff when she dances, and just being a mythic dancer in general is just so strong. Offering like cardinal directions attack and speed buffs is actually insane, and I don't think anyone will argue about this. Peony, even without offering the 7th slot or the 6th slot, she's just the best, right? Like, just no question about it. Following that, I would put Asker. Asker's C skill, like giving you the resonance and the special cooldown reduction, is so powerful. Like, I use Asker a lot, especially to help with Galeforce procs, but it doesn't even need to be Galeforce. It can be just like literally any special, like Aegis or like a damaging special or like Vital Astra, Godlike Reflexes, whatever. Like, specials are the name of the game right now in the meta, and Asker just helps so much with that. And yeah, I definitely put Asker with Peony and S. I don't think Asker is better than Peony, but if you have to choose an extra slot mythic to use, it would definitely be Asker. And then in A, I have Ashe. Ashe, again, as I mentioned, is very powerful with her warping effect, enables so many insane plays, and just offers so much flexibility. Next, we have Goto. I'm not a big fan of Goto, but there's no denying that he is a super powerful tank, and also provides some very cool support, like the AoE damage reduction. Now, I don't think AoE damage reduction is that important in Light and Dark Season, because quite frankly, there's not really that much AoEs in Dark defenses these days. But still, it's nice. And again, like, Goto himself is a pretty strong unit. Although, again, I'm not as high on Goto as I am on, like, Peony or Asker, or, like, compared to, like, other Fae-tubers like Joel, for example. Next, we have B. Milla. Still useful for her isolation, but honestly, that's about it. Can definitely help with tanking or preventing dancer traps and whatnot, but honestly, not as good as she once was. Same thing with Dagger. We just have so much better Galeforce options for like light mythics these days, like Asker, for instance, even Ashe. And so I don't think Dagger is as useful. And then Air, same, I don't think is as useful. Although I will say, running her with Tamari and the Sparkling Boost perf skill she has is super helpful if you aren't running the healing tower on offense and are tanking. That healing can definitely come in clutch. So depending on the type of team you have, like, Air actually might be a worthy addition to your team, especially as the extra slot mythic. And then in C, yeah, Uller is just bad. Freya is just bad. I don't think I have to say anything about that. But what about Nerthuz? Is Nerthuz good or bad? Well, it's going to be very interesting because as a combat unit, she will live and die by whether or not she can punch through a lot of the frontline units, especially as a Galeforcer or a hit and run person. So it remains to be seen. However, personally, I am kind of optimistic that she'll perform her Galeforce / hit and run role very, very well. Like, she has some insane stats with like that plus 13 to all stats she gets with Galeforce. And not only that, but her B skill having the damage reduction and the the reverse Uno card damage right back at ya effect is really nice. And in addition to having tempo, making that Galeforce extremely consistent, and having the gravity obviously really helps with hit and run. Like, gravity is just super powerful in ether rates in general. And then obviously it's not limited to her, but the C skill having Canto is definitely the cherry on top. And again, as I mentioned, like, Mythic Galeforce initiators have the advantage of not having to worry about their HP getting boosted by like HP mythic blessings or mythic buffs from like other mythics. That is one of the most frustrating things. And part of why like you can't really use Ninjorin if it's plus 10, because with like triple mythics, she just exceeds like I believe it's 56 HP threshold that double Fury would need to have to get Ninjorin to be at 50% HP or lower. Like, because like with Fury 4 and the Fury Seal, that is 8 from the Fury 4 and then 6 from just regular Fury. So that is 14. So if you go into combat once, that does 14 self-damage. Do it again, that is 28 self-damage. And so 28 times 2 is 56. So as long as your HP is 56 or below, you'll get into WOM range so that your WOM units can go in and follow up. And so her being a mythic does make it easier. Now, again, because she is a mythic, she also doesn't get like attack or speed mythic buffs. So there's a little trade-off there, but I will say as a player face unit, it doesn't hurt her as much as it could have, especially with her damage reduction. That being said, though, I don't think she will be as good as Peony or Asker. So honestly, I'd probably put her in A. I don't know where, honestly, although I think I would put her above Goto. Maybe above Ash, but I don't know. Ash is actually like very fun and that warping is very powerful. So maybe between Ash and Goto, it's either at the top of A or the middle of A. One of those two, I would say she would be in right now. Again, like, the biggest problem with Nerthuz is that light mythics are super stacked and she faces a lot of competition, especially if you already have like light mythics at plus 10, highly merged. There's not really a reason to go for her unless you can like, you have like another mythic slot that needs merging in order to progress your accounts. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, that's where I would put Nerthuz for now. Again, take this all with a grain of salt. We don't have her in the game yet, so our opinions can change once we do some testing and whatnot and see how she works in practice. But yeah, overall, I'm actually like find Nerthuz to be very cool. I love Galeforce, so her being a Galeforce unit is just very sick, and Nerthuz looks really cool, and yeah, I'm excited to see what people use her with in the game, especially ether rates. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it truly does help out the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the constant support. Let me know down in the comments whether or not you're going to be pulling on this banner. Personally, I'm going to be skipping it, as although I do think Nerthuz is really cool, I don't really need her, as you can tell from my level 1 ether rates vault clears. But yeah, overall, super cool banner, and yeah, I'm excited to see how people use Nerthuz in ether rates. yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye, everyone.